Welcome to Beyond Ocean and Maine, MCM's news magazine program. I'm Robert Goitis.
And I'm Teddy Johnston.
The Marshfield Public School District recently held its Wall of Honor ceremony to honor some of its retired educators.
MCM sat down with this year's inductees to talk about their contributions to Marshfield's education system.
So the Wall of Honor was created in 2017 by a vote of the school committee to create a new policy that would house the Wall of Honor. It was something that was discussed over the years with the school committee and was created in 2017 to recognize retired educators, administrators, and members of the community who have gone above and beyond to provide for an outstanding educational experience for Marshfield students. Above and beyond is often subjective when it comes to the individual, so I'll give you an example. In the past, we've had recipients who were outstanding classroom teachers but also did things like advise the student council or revise our science curriculum to be more innovative. And then we have folks who were parents who had gone above and beyond to volunteer for things like Grad Night Live, for the We Are Marshfield Day project. There's a whole host of criteria that can be above and beyond, but we have a rigorous rubric that we use to select our recipients every year. This year we had 40 nominees from the community for folks who should be considered for the Wall of Honor, and we're very pleased to have settled on 6 deserving individuals. So this year we have, like I said, 6 individuals, 2 of whom are going in as one unit. We have Mr. Dick Devitt, who is a retired principal. He was the principal at South River Elementary School. We have Mrs. Marianne Evans, who was an elementary school teacher at Daniel Webster Elementary for a very long time. We have Mrs. Laurie Higgins, who was a computers teacher at Furnace Brook Middle School as well as their student council advisor. We have Miss Sarah Prouty, who was a teacher at Ames Way before becoming principal over at Daniel Webster School. And then for our double inductees, our community inductees this year, we have Mrs. Janet Gibson and Mrs. Betsy Hoey, who are going into the Wall of Honor for their work in founding Grad Night Live in 1997.
I feel that as an educator and as a principal, I feel like I was a very fair person, and I always taught with children in the front of my mind. I feel really proud to be part of this induction class to the Wall of Honor.
Well, it was shocking, but it's shocking because there were just so many excellent educators, and everyone should be inducted in because it's a tough job and it's a fun job. But it's a privilege. I feel like my biggest contribution to the Marshfield Public Schools was consistency in my teaching and persistence with patience, persistence for young children and their learning styles, and helping them to read and do math and learn in general.
In 1970, I became the principal of South River School, and that tenure was to last for 22 years. First surprise, total surprise, I knew that there was a Wall of Honor, but 33 years out, I had thought that was quite a length and really didn't think of it. Humbled when it happened, appreciative, very appreciative that people recognize what you've done, and that I was still part of the school community, hadn't been forgotten.
I've looked up to these other people that have been on the wall, and then the people that are being inducted with me tonight. I'm very humbled and very, very honored to be part of this group. Well, I think that it's just really wonderful for educators to see each other being honored in this way after retiring. After giving our best to the district for all of those years, I just think it's really a wonderful thing for people to see and be part of.
It's very fulfilling to be inducted into the Wall of Honor because of some of the people who have been inducted before and who were tonight. To be inducted with them is a privilege and an honor. The Wall of Honor recognizes the importance of educators and the job that they do, the wonderful times and the difficult times, and it recognizes how important our job is.
I think that the more the community knows about what's happening in the schools, because they are our support system. And the more they can see that event on a Wednesday night that was set up by Sean and his group, so many of the community people were there. They bring it out, they talk to their neighbors, the people in the workplaces, and they also, it's a chance for the people to hear there were 40 nominees. It's nice to hear that at least 40 people, and they know it's plus, are going above and beyond the daily classroom ritual. I think it's a necessary tie-in, the community to the schools. And the more the community knows about what's going on, the more they're likely to want to continue their support.
I feel that all these people that I worked with over the years have a piece of that plaque with me, and I'm just so proud of all of them, and I love so many dearly, and they've really formed my life and certainly formed my career.
Well, I'm just grateful and appreciative of the nomination, and so grateful and amazed at Sean Costello and the hard work that he does for Marshall Public Schools Department and the Wall of Honor.
Well, I think recognizing these folks demonstrates that Marshfield cares about our educators, and Marshfield understands that the people who teach in a school district really have a large role in building up our community. These folks that we're recognizing impacted students every single day. They went above and beyond to ensure that they were having a positive impact and serving as positive role models for our students, and through that they've impacted thousands of young people as they're growing up. The work that they did cannot be overstated. They deserve the recognition, and the town deserves to see that we have outstanding teachers here in Marshfield, and it's something that makes Marshfield special. But these folks really worked hard to build the community, and that's what educators can do when they care about students, and these folks certainly fit that description.
After serving his first year as the superintendent, Dr. Patrick Sullivan gave us an opportunity to discuss the changes that have been made to the Marshfield School District.
Many of these changes pertain to school safety, curriculum, and what the school has done to engage the community.
Well, Marshfield Public Schools is a fantastic school district, so I'm very fortunate to be a part of it again. As I think a lot of people know, I was a teacher here for many years. I actually started teaching here in 1996. Then department head, English teacher, department head of English, moved up to be an assistant principal at the middle school, and then a principal at the middle school before leaving in 2017 to take on an assistant superintendent position in Cohasset. And then the last 5 years, I was their superintendent in Cohasset. So for me, this is a dream opportunity to come back to what I think is the best school district in the state, trying to make it even better. And some of the reasons I think it's the best isn't just because of the scores we achieve, it's because of the teaching of the whole child and the community of Marshfield that really wraps around the children to make sure they get everything they need. And my goal is to provide that support for our students, to provide that connection and communication with our families, and to work with our incredible staff, second to none, to give our students everything we can give them. Of course, when you're a new leader anywhere, you're doing a lot of listening and not trying to make radical change if you don't need to, but really trying to figure out where I can and where we need to make the biggest impact right away. One of the things that we had to do right away was adjust to our new start times, which had been decided before I got here. And I think it's a good thing for the community. Similarly, and ironically, I had the same situation in Cohasset, where when I came in as their superintendent, I had to deal with a whole new set of starting times. But a lot comes with that, and no matter how well you prepare the year before for it, you do have a scenario where you have to make some changes on the fly. And the thing about new start times is it involves safety, so we had to adjust all our traffic patterns. We combined our middle and high school bus routes, so we had to work with our busing company, Topman, to make sure our routes were efficient, that our buses weren't completely overcrowded. We had some adjustments with that, and families had to adjust to that too, because our buses had been fairly empty, and which isn't necessarily fiscally responsible, but it was impossible when we went from several bus routes. Going back 2 years ago, we had a different start time for our middle and high school. With our new format of having the middle and high school together starting at the same time, and our elementaries all starting at the same time, that required us to be very economical with our buses and our bus routes. With that came a lot of work on school safety, just how we got to school, making sure our crosswalks and our walking routes were appropriate and safe with the new traffic, creating a drop-off and pickup pattern at our middle and high school. So all of that operational necessities, all those operational necessities were really at the forefront when I came in. So we worked very closely with Marshfield Police, had many meetings, worked with all of our administrative team to come together to provide what we think is the safest, but not perfect, way for kids to get to school under the new start times. And then in terms of curriculum, we were starting with a new English literacy curriculum across all of our elementary schools. It's called Expedition Learning. So our staff was fully implementing that, and everything was brand new for them. So we needed a lot of professional development under Dr. Martin, who's our assistant superintendent, really leading the charge with our literacy coaches at the elementary level and principals to make sure that our staff got the proper professional development so that they could help our teachers, help our students in that. So that was new. And then what I always stress, I stressed this in Cohasset, I stressed it when I was here as a principal, is that we really focus on a few major issues or topics, and they're really about student voice. And we tried throughout the district this year to perpetuate student voice, to hear from our students, to make sure that our students were advocating and showing agency in what they believed should be changed in our district and improved and maintained. So I did a lot of listening to them and listening to our staff. School culture. So I really asked our principals to try to get a sense for what their school culture needed to improve that in their own buildings. And then family engagement. How are we reaching out to families? How are we bringing them in? How are we engaging them in the curriculum? How are we engaging them in the activities that we do? So those three areas I've really had my principals and other leaders focus on, and then really doing a deep data dive on everything that we have. And when you're a new leader coming in, you really get a chance to get a sense for where we stand in all kinds of data sets. How are we achieving? How are our students performing compared to like schools in a variety of ways? How are our students growing and improving academically? How are they doing socially and emotionally? What is their level of wellness? And it took a lot to do that, and we're still doing that, but we were doing that through surveys. We were doing that through our data specialist, Mike Rich. And then we were doing a lot of qualitative data, which is where we talked with students and just asked them questions. One of the things I did and started anew was what I call the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, which involved 8 students from the high school, 6 students from the middle school, and then 2 students from each elementary school. And we'd meet periodically to talk about just that, student voice. What do we need to improve? What do we want to make sure we keep? What areas of concern do you have as a student and for your fellow students in terms of your academic needs, your wellness needs? We also started a committee called the Belonging Committee, which ties into our 5-year strategic plan. And that committee, it involves about 30 people, parents, teachers, leaders, students, and we've expanded that to have smaller belonging teams in each of the building levels. And we're really trying to make sure is that everybody fits in Marshfield and that we help everyone achieve to their best level. But that has to happen by making them feel comfortable. And we extended that to our ELL, our English language learner population. We created a program called our Mosaic, where we invited the many cultures we now have in Marshfield. We have 156 students, I believe. We have over 12 countries that are represented within those 156 students. And we wanted to make sure we celebrated them and let them know that they were part of our community in an event. And that was a lovely event called the Mosaic, where we had foods of their cultures, music of their cultures. People talked about their cultures, and it was visited by a couple hundred visitors who came in from our town to look at that. And it sends a message that they're a part of who we are, and they certainly are. So that's something we're going to look to build out next year as well.
Alyssa Budd, a graduate of this past year's Marshfield High School senior class, has already achieved a lot for one so young.
Alyssa discussed with us both her journey and her contributions to Marshfield.
I would describe myself as someone who's very active in the community. I'm involved in martial arts, I'm involved in theater, I'm an Eagle Scout in this town, and I have a lot of pride for where I come from in this town and the Rams. So my brother was a Cub Scout and my mom was his Cub Scout leader, and I had always kind of tagged along because all of their meetings were at our house, or all of their events I was able to go to as a sibling. So I was introduced to Scouts through my brother. In February of 2019, Scouts opened to girls, and a few months before that, they announced that they were going to open to girls. And my mom knew that I had always had an interest in it because I'd always tagged along with my brother and his Cub Scout pack. And I was really excited to take those steps and become a Scout myself. So me and my mom and a couple of my elementary school childhood friends got together and we started the Scout troop that has now bloomed into a group of 30 plus girls. So it's really exciting that we started out with just 5 girls, 4 leaders, and now we're 30 girls and countless leaders. Since we started, we were always very interested in growing our troop because 5 was the absolute minimum amount of girls that you needed to have. So we got to work right away, the 5 of us, on asking our friends really to join our troop. And in a troop, groups of girls are broken up into patrols. So we actually got an entire second patrol of girls just from kids who were our age. And the younger kids in Scouts are Cub Scouts. So the Cub Scouts, as they would come up, we would encourage them to invite friends from their classes, invite friends from all around town. And eventually we were actually able to kind of make a name for ourselves. There aren't girl BSA troops in every town, so towns that didn't have a girl BSA troop, often they were looking for places that the Cub Scouts could go join a troop, and we became kind of a place that got referred to a lot of people, so that was exciting. So we kind of grew by asking more of our friends, and we grew by getting more people from other towns. So when the troop started out, I was the first patrol leader, so I was just in charge of, the group of the 5 of us. And then after a year, we had 2 patrols, so we took a vote and I became the senior patrol leader alongside my friend Zoe, who we were co-senior patrol leaders for that year. And then for the next 2 years, I ran again and I was re-elected as senior patrol leader, which is basically just the youth who's in charge of the troop. So I made sure that I was talking to the adults and making sure we got the things done that we needed to, and I made sure that I was checking in with the patrol leaders about what they wanted to do. And then as I got older and more people wanted to step up and take the position, I eventually became a junior assistant scoutmaster, which is basically an adult leader, but for someone who's under 18. And I worked as a liaison between what the youth wanted and what the adults wanted, and bridged those gaps. And now that I've turned 18, I've recently become an assistant scoutmaster in the troop, where I help out, and I am a fully fledged adult, which is a little crazy to me. So my Eagle project is called the Eagle's Nest. It was originally, I wanted to find a place where I could involve my love of theater with my love of Scouts and being outdoors and being together. So I built a structure that is an octagonal pergola, and it has porch swings, it has benches, it has a lot of places for everyone to gather and sit, and then right at the center there is now an electric semi-permanent fire pit. So that's at the middle, and it's a place where my Scout troop has been able to hold campfire programs and sing songs. It's a place where people have been able to have movie nights. It's a place where people can just come gather. And I'm really glad that the project turned out to be exactly what I wanted it to. I'm honored to be Marshfield's first female Eagle Scout. The town did so much for me. I got so many amazing donors, so many amazing sponsors who helped out my project either by providing snacks and drinks for the work days when we were building it, or John Foster Lumber provided a lot of the lumber at a lowered cost, which was really, really nice. And this town really came together to help me build this project. So I'm so proud that I was able to win the Territory Project of the Year and really make this town proud because they helped me so much with it. So I have been involved with the VFW's National Anthem contest, and I have gone to the state level multiple times, and I have gotten scholarships for that because the veterans in this town and the auxiliary have always supported me, and I really, I thank them for their service. I thank them for everything that they've done for me. So I was glad to do them proud. And I also recently just moved up to win the state competition of Scout of the Year this year for the VFW, and that has been really exciting, and I'm excited to see where that goes. Now that I'm kind of moving off to college and I'm going to, go live in a different town for the first time in my life, I've been able to look back on everything, and I'm just so grateful for the town, what they've done to support me, and I'm proud of what I have done to be able to give back to them, to be able to give them my Eagle Project, to be able to be the face for the VFW at the state level, and knowing that my roots are from Marshfield. So I find myself really fulfilled by the fact that I was able to give back to the town as much as they gave to me. I hope that I've been able to provide the community with a sense of fellowship, a sense of togetherness. I feel like I've made a lot of connections throughout the community, and I hope that those connections still last, even as I go to college. I hope that I'm able to still, stay in touch with the people that have meant a lot to me. And I'm just really grateful for being part of this town that's always been so supportive.
The Dharma Dreams Vocational Center, an educational center that teaches those with developmental disabilities trade skills, will host its first round of students in January of 2026.
Leading figures of the Vocational Center discussed with us what Dharma Dreams will offer to their students.
Dharma Dreams Vocational Center is a nonprofit program for young adults with cognitive disabilities to learn skills in the trades. So landscape and painting, for example, are two of the trades. We also intend to take a holistic approach, which I think is very important. We want to make sure that they are learning mind-body techniques to manage their stress. We want to introduce them to entrepreneurship and life skills. We definitely feel that this is important for them to have confidence going out into the workforce. It's one thing to give job skills, it's another thing to give them the confidence to do it.
So the mission is to help young adults with learning differences in the vocational trades. So that is our current mission, to help them with not only the educational piece, but also to bring other types of services to them from training in other areas.
Well, it started a very, very long time ago, actually. I have a son who had learning challenges in school. He really hated it. But he was the kid that came home and he was very happy mowing the lawn. He was happy snow blowing, building a fort, tinkering with engines. And everything about him said that he was a trade school kid. But even the traditional trade schools have programs that require you to be able to pass the academic. So we're dealing with that dilemma. And I did work with a variety of schools. We happen to be in Braintree, but I was working with the Braintree School System, Blue Hills, and other programs to see if it was possible to launch a different kind of program for someone like my son. And we even did a wide search. We searched not only all over Massachusetts, but the states that are close by to see what we could find. But for him, it was always a square peg in a round hole kind of situation, where he fit socially, he did not fit academically, where he fit academically, he did not fit socially. I wasn't planning to create the program from the beginning, but I think all along there was just a little something in the back of my head that said, Joanne, I think you're supposed to do it. And then there were just a variety of synchronistic events that happened that got me to sit down, crank out a business plan, and really get this going. And then, you get the board members, you get people on board, and it just starts flowing. So that's really how it started.
So initially, we plan to kick off with 2 programs. One, a landscaping program. The other will be a painting. So those are the 2 initial things that we plan to start with. With future growth, we definitely are looking into other types of trades, but those will be the first 2.
These will be year-long programs with summer internships. Eventually, we do want to bring other programs into this vocational center, and we'll use feedback from families to see what they're interested in. But some of the ideas that we were initially looking at were carpentry, culinary arts, and nail technicians, so along the lines of, cosmetology. We plan to start in January 2026. We are actually accepting and receiving applications now. Each program has an upper limit of 15 kids per classroom, and the intention is to get the application online. We would then get more information from the students and families, meaning IEPs or test results, and we would also want to do a personal interview to make sure that the student is actually interested in the program, because we really believe, and this is true of all of us, is that if you have a true interest in learning one of these skills, is that your propensity for learning goes up, and that's true of everybody across the board. We're located at 439 Columbia Road in Hanover, Massachusetts, and a lot of people are familiar with Cardinal Cushing as a landmark. We're really just 3/4 of a mile down the road from them, past Privetti's, and our sign, Dharma Dreams Vocational Center, is right there on the main road, so it's fairly easy to find.
So it'll be paid staff. We will be actively recruiting, and we've kind of started that process. So we are looking for paid staff. Doors will be open for anybody who'd like to volunteer in any capacity as well, but we are looking for staff and actively recruiting for staff. So currently funding, it is a nonprofit, so it will be tuition-based program. So obviously we're going to do fundraising as well, and we'll be looking for people that will also want to make donations for scholarships for students. So it'll be a combination.
Well, my hope is that this place truly is a place of joy for both the students and staff. That's something that I think is very important. We're not like a traditional school system. We want to take the stress of the traditional academics out of it. And if you find passion in learning a skill, I think that you will have joy. And even for teachers, this is not about IEPs anymore. And God bless all those teachers who have to deal with them. We, as a parent, use the IEPs, and we advocated wholeheartedly for our sons, and I know that's not always easy for the teachers. So I think it's about having balance and watching the kids thrive in that kind of environment. I think that would be exciting.
Probably most proud of just the fact of the people that I've been able to work with in help building the program. Joanne's, as I mentioned, very passionate about this and a really good leader, and bringing a very strong group of people together to help get this off the ground. So I feel like this has been a great experience from that perspective. Just a lot of passionate people that understand the need and coming together with different skill sets to bring this program to light. For the students' part, I think the biggest thing will be just that they will walk away with a new skill. So not only, bringing the education, they're going to be able to build friendships, they're going to, have higher self-esteem. We're going to build in a lot of different areas, just not on the vocational piece. So I think this takeaway for students is going to be one that they will leave this program very well-rounded and have other skills besides just the vocational trade piece of it.
Truly, I think that's what most parents want. They want their kids to be happy and independent, and this program is no different in terms of what we strive for these kids. They're like our kids. It's what every parent wants.
This concludes this edition of Beyond Ocean and Maine. Tune in next time. I'm Robert Goitis.
And I'm Teddy Johnston.
Thank you very much for watching.